SDKs, that's a software development kit. I know as an engineer, it's like, okay, you can just throw it out there and expect everyone to go, woohoo, we're going to upgrade. But in reality, this stuff needs to be battle tested and needs to be in the marketplace a lot longer. Today, I'm going to be showing you XLM and how they just solved the privacy problem with the public blockchain and how the banks are currently building with it. The protocol that was released is called X-Ray, and it is private settlement with the public blockchain and how I think this is going to be the future. PayPal also chose Stellar XLM for their coin PYUSD, and the Marshall Island just launched a UBI with Stellar, and that's Universal Basic Income. Also in this video, I want to show you a trading scanner that I built, and it's a prototype, so I'm going to be showing you exactly what it is. Stay tuned. So this protocol is called X-Ray, and the whole point of X-Ray is similar to XDC. And if you guys don't remember, it is essentially private settlement. So they're trying to figure out a privacy solution for settlement with a public blockchain. And I know a lot of people with Bitcoin, they love it because everyone can see every transaction. But I think what they're trying to do is essentially segment that approach. And so if they can have protocols like X-Ray that gives them ability to section off parts of their network to then give to investors or banks, they can then bring over those private blocks into their public blockchain. So I want to show you guys a snippet from their keynote about X-Ray. So remember, X-Ray is just a network that lives over here next to the XLM ledger.
But what if you do not want to disclose transacting parties? That's where private payments come in. The private payments protocol that we're working on, again with Nethermind, not only hides the balances and transfer amounts, but also obfuscates senders and receivers. This means that you can do things like paying sensitive medical bills without worrying about that information becoming public.
All medical records, or if they, for example, they use medical record payment, but personally, I think they're focused on like big transactions like real estate. They don't want everyone knowing which broker someone used, how much they paid, and they want to be able to section off parts of the blockchain and only put like the settlement blocks on XLM. So they're taking some of the settlement and putting it over here in their X-Ray protocol, and basically kind of like an R3 Corda. If you guys remember with XRP, they built that private open source network, and basically all transactions can live over here, and they're developing that protocol to then move to the XLM blockchain. So what I'm probably seeing is similar to how FedEx is doing it. They're just going to take all the hashes and settlement blocks, similar to also how XDC is doing. So one thing that I'm really focused on is that it seems that all these blockchains, especially the ones that are dealing with settlement, are focused on privacy. And it's not necessarily the privacy like you get with XMR, where there really is a hard way to see when that transaction is on the ledger. They're focused on privacy in their own network so that they can integrate their existing systems into the blockchain. And R3 Corda has been around for so long, and I'm going, what took them so long to build something like this? I mean, they've been around for a while, XLM, and they should have known better that the industry is moving towards this way. R3 Corda has been around, for a very long time. And with these SDKs, that's a software development kit, I know as an engineer, it's like, okay, you can just throw it out there and expect everyone to go, woohoo, we're going to upgrade. But in reality, this stuff needs to be battle tested and needs to be in the marketplace a lot longer. Either you have a big tech giant come in and push this, or some type of project you rally around to get Stellar, to get bank adoption. And that's probably what we're going to see in the next couple of months, is some huge application coming in saying we're building with this new, X-Ray private settlement block. But to be honest, this should have been done a lot sooner. Especially since we have so many players already doing this type of private settlement. Yeah. So back to the applications, we got Poseidon. They're trying to pretty much rally around an application that's using it, and it just got released to the mainnet in January 22nd. So like I said, it needs to be battle tested before someone goes, we're going to use this. This is the new way. This is the future. It should have been done a lot sooner. I'm still pro XLM because they have the ISO 20022 compliance. But one thing that's something that I as an engineer, I would have pushed a lot sooner. I mean, the writing was on the wall with XRP and R3 Corda. You should have known that RWA was moving on chain, and this should have been one of your forefront thoughts, going forward with the coin. So PayPal, they are using XLM, and this was back in September. So this new X-ray thing, that protocol that they have, they can't use that right now, or at least they didn't use it. So PYUSD is a stablecoin. I know everyone loves stablecoins, but you need to build the rails and you need to show the old system on the new system. And how you do that is you bring stablecoins on the network. And so it makes sense for institutions like PayPal to design and build their own stablecoin, because they also get the interest behind the scenes. So if a lot of times these stablecoins are backed with like treasuries, and those treasuries earn yields. So they're going to, for example, 100% backed by high quality liquid assets and the redeemable 1-to-1. So essentially they're earning interest. And I remember the Genius Act prevents us from receiving that interest. So companies are incentivized to release stablecoins on their network. And I know people aren't necessarily as happy with that, but it also introduces trading pairs with XLM, and PayPal might have a bunch of trading pairs with the old system and the new system, and you need to build some type of pillar, their own stablecoin, to then facilitate those transactions. And I'm not going to go over a lot of this because a lot of it is the same narrative with all the stablecoins. It's really, when you think of a stablecoin, you just need to think of the old as being represented on the new, and you have to bring over the old into the new. There's also an incentive to earn money for these companies, so they're earning interest on it. So this is interesting. Marshall Islands launches the world's first universal basic income, that's UBI, offering cryptocurrency, and they're offering $200 quarterly to the folks at Marshall Islands. And what blockchain are they using? They're using the XLM blockchain. And as I said, they had to represent the old into the new. So they issued a new stablecoin called USDM1, and that is backed by US Treasuries. So they're earning the interest on that. And then they're also issuing via cryptocurrency to the folks at Marshall Islands. And I think that's a lot easier, because then they can track who gets the payment. And that makes sense to me. Like a lot of times I think with payments, it's a little bit hard to track where the money's going. So it made sense that they're going to use a blockchain first approach. So markets are systems, and all systems follow a set of rules. And I know people go, well, you can't time the market. A lot of people say you can, other people say you can't. So what I built was basically a scanner for volume. And this is a prototype. This is not to be taken as financial advice. I really just wanted to show you guys some of the keys when looking at a coin. For example, XLM. I don't have a lot of time to trade, and I know people focus on trading all the time. I wanted a tool that pretty much scans everything for me and maps out trend lines. And so, like, for example, it mapped out this trend line. This basically bounces off of this line, and then there's a mild support zone, a consolidation zone right here, and then it has the EMA, basically the moving averages here. And so what this thing basically says, hey, if it hits this line again, there's a high probability that it's going to bounce off of it. It's saying that it's probably a buy, but right now there's a no trade. And so what I wanted to do was pretty much systematically approach this so that I can come in, in the morning and look at this stuff and go, okay, there's nothing to do, or, there is something to do. But my whole entire focus with this tool is just crypto. So I just wanted to show you guys this. This is just a prototype. So none of this information should be taken as fact. What I support is one of the easiest ways for you to get paid. It is stored on the HBAR blockchain, and essentially it's like a link tree, but with all of your crypto addresses in one place. You can also store it on your Apple Wallet. So essentially you could store your link and share it with your friends. And I will also be having a card coming, so you can order that. I would love for you guys to check it out. But I appreciate you watching my channel, and I'm hoping to be doing more videos like this with, maybe some trend lines. If you guys like this, let me know. I'll see you in my next video.